Morning, everybody. It is 8:10 a.m. It is August 22nd. Welcome to my channel. Now, yesterday we had an inside day. Inside day, both in the Nasdaq and the ES. Okay. And I took a couple trades. A little frustrating. I had a long I wanted to take at what was that? 63.95s, I believe, yesterday. That would have worked to the highs of the day. But that's okay. It wasn't like a prime setup. Then I was really wanted to get interested in the short. Once the spot ES hit the 64.13 area, I put a limit order in and didn't get filled, and then the market dropped. Right. Then I got in a long, got wicked out, re-entered the long, started to work, then hit my break even. And then shortly after that, I was live with Rosita in here. I'm not sure if she's here in here yet. And I said, guess what I think needs to happen? I said, we probably need to take out the low days. Take those out because the market's not weak and we're in a balanced profile. I said, that's probably going to be the fuel. We're going to go right back up. And I kept stressing to her, the market internals are not weak. This is not a weak market. We just need something where people take profits. And as soon as that happened, I said to her, watch this move back into the 75s. I said, right here, let's watch. And I was like, now this is the day that I have, that I know, bounce profile, not weak internals, that we're probably going to go back to the mean. Okay, so I'm just collecting data with the book map and stuff, and a lot of how the patterns form. And show you right here in Discord what I posted. Okay, this is right after it happened. So a lot of things happened yesterday. Was right, and this is just the reality of trading, right? So I just told you my day. That was actually the first trades I took all week. All right, so I waited all week. Now, a couple things here. I have a screenshot here, and that was the range. This is the range that I said that we will probably go back and forth between pre-market. Monster level here at 64.13s and the 63.70s, which is a high volume node. That's exactly what we did. So when we came into the 63.70s, I was live, talking to my good friend Rosa, and I was like telling her that's probably exactly where I said the market. And this is right as I'm talking to her live. And I said this is probably what the market needed to go back to the mean. The mean would be the VPOC around 63.90s, right? And so when I said that to her, I said, all right, let's look at Bookmap, right? And I said, let's watch Bookmap. Once buyers stepped in here, okay, right around the 77, I'm sorry, what's that, 75, 77s, okay, I said, look at this move. I want to see 63.80, which had large sellers there, get taken out. It gets taken out. We retrace, and I told her right here, I said 77 and a half. Let's watch the pullback here. Let's watch the pullback to see if these buyers get defended. And that was all she wrote. And it literally launched. So to me, that was probably worth the risk to take the trade. I could have had an entry here at the 77 and a half with a stop loss at 75. Or I might have done it at a 3 point. So let's say I did a 3 point risk. That was worth the risk. Because of the day, because of my levels. We hit 63.70 right here to the tick. That was the key level that I said that we probably will stall at. And probably part of the reason was because I'm just starting to get used to how, in Bookmap, it's a different visual in Bookmap, okay? Where you could take advantage of Bookmap visualization, right? So I'm seeing this constantly happen in Bookmap. Okay. Now, what I think happened to myself is the trade that I was in. So this trade that I posted, All right. I was in. You can see I entered at 86s and a half. I already had 4 points excursion. It was working, right? It was working. It took. This is the initial pop I think I had, and then it actually started to come back down and just really just started consolidating, 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 consolidating. I want to say for 25 minutes maybe, and then it broke out again, and I was like, all right, finally I got six. I think I was up to 6 points or something like that. After that was so exhausting because the VPOC shifted lower in the session. That didn't help me. That took a lot of mental capital, even though I went to break even and I was like, I don't trust this. That's when the market broke the lows. I think that exhausted me mentally and it made me kind of hesitant on taking that trade, even though it hit all the levels I talked about pre market. So that is trading, folks. That is trading. Okay. So the markets today, we have Jackson Hole. Okay. Jackson Hole, Fed, Powell speaking at 10 a.m. There's no questions after this speech. The market is starting to pare back their bets. There's going to be a rate cut. It was at 99% at one time. I think the last time I checked, it was at 80%. Okay. He's very elusive when he talks, so I don't know if we're going to be able to gather anything from what he says. But the market, I think, is probably going to die up into that 10 a.m. Okay. And then, then Hammock speaks at 11, and then Trump's making some type of announcement at noon. Okay. So I'm hoping Powell's done and I can get a trade in before Trump gets on. I'm hoping. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. All right. Get started here. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and buying profile to find structure in the markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. I also use market internals. Okay, that is the bread and butter of how I will drive my trading. That's the bread and butter. Okay. Now, when I was live yesterday, it was kind of funny, and I'm not sure if Rosa's in here. Is she was talking about AI and stuff like that, which is fine. And I was straight with her. I said I really don't care what AI is saying, the reporter or anything like that, right? And she was telling me, oh, it says it could drop to 631 and all this stuff, right? And literally, play by play, she can attest to it. She's in here now. As I said, pre-market 63.70 was my level that I said we'll probably go to. I said the market is balanced. The market internals are not weak. Until they show me weakness, we are not weak. We're not going to go any farther. And then she was right there with me when I said that pullback. And it launched, right? And then I said the market should die now, right? So I don't need AI. I got me, all right? And the internals show me what's going on. Price action does not matter, okay? The market's not going to outperform the internals. It's not. It won't. It can't. It's impossible. Right? She witnessed it right in step. Before she was telling me about her little robot that was telling her what to do, I was like telling her, like, listen, I've seen this movie over and over again. I know what the internals are telling me, and I always explain to everybody it's a snapshot of when I'm talking. The market can change, but right now the market is not weak, and before you know it, we're ripping up to the upside. And that was it. The range was put in, right? We have Jackson Hole, okay? So that's how important market internals are to me, right? Because somebody who doesn't use them or is looking at price action will get lulled into believing the market's going to fall. And if they don't know the internals, they will get lulled into price action. and not actually what's under the hood. Okay? That's why I say, let me be your indicator. Okay? Let me be your indicator. When you're in with me live, I'm not going to steer you wrong. Okay? I'm not going to steer you wrong. Okay? Now, I also use the weekly expected move. Now, I'm still a little shocked that Rosita has not put that on her chart or has not put that on her phone. I mean, it's 6 weeks now. And all I do is talk about how the expected move should guide your trading. Okay? I run this script. It's a script that I run on the weekend or on Monday morning before the market opens. It gives you the expected range of all the tickers that are move the markets for the next week. Remember, the options market is transparent, right? All the big players, everything, you see all the transactions. It's not hidden, it's all out there. So then the market, options market, will price in the ranges based on all the options activity. And like I said, 70% of the time it stays within the week's expected range. I don't know how much I have to keep saying about the expected move indicator that I give for free. Okay? That I give for free. All right? So, if you want that indicator for free, and I'm still shocked that Rosita hasn't even added it, which is shocking because she wants to read a report of AI to me, but not use the indicator that's been showing an edge every week. So join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Okay? Sign up, get the free indicator. It doesn't take long to do it. All right? So if you go to my Discord, you go to the weekly expected move. It's right here. I post it every beginning every week or on the weekend. Add it to your charts. Now, you can add it to your phone. I have it on my phone too. So if I'm just looking on my phone, it's on my charts. I just posted this today. This is a screenshot of my phone. You can see the green bar signifies the QQQ's expected move to the upside for this week and the move to the downside this week. Do you see that red line? Do you see where the market is when I took the shot? It's trying to go lower, but the options market did not price in a move lower. 70% of the time, it closes within the range. Okay? So I keep saying this. It's a powerful edge to have. Okay? 70% of the time, the market closes within the range. So, how do you use it? Well, if the market is below its expected move, there's not going to be much downside. It's probably done. So why would you short? Now I'm talking about a short for like a swing and thinking, okay, cool, the market just moved down. Well, guess what? It's not moving lower. Now, I'm saying it's probability. Would you like to have something that's 70% on your side or 30% on your side? Same thing to the upside. If the market starts to go up and it hits its weekly expected move to the upside and it's early, well, guess what? Probably the move is probably done. And again, can it go higher? Yes. Has it gone above the expected move in a week I've seen a stock? Yes. Okay. Does it happen a lot? No. So when I see these expected moves, they have really helped me. And it's happened every week. I'm not sure if Documents is in here. I know Amalio listens. I preach this a lot in my channel. When now, the last couple of weeks actually, QQQ's hit the expected move to the upside, a bunch of stocks have hit, and then what happens? A pullback. So then I'm already saying I don't really want to go long. I'm not going to go long. And what happens? We get a pullback. Okay. The other day when we hit that expected move in the Qs, that's why you got that monster wick. It wasn't priced in. Okay. It wasn't priced in. So it's free. Go to my Discord, join my Discord, go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up for free, put it on your chart. You will see. It's not like rocket science. Put it on your chart, put it on your phone. There's no excuse. Okay? There's no excuse. It's a huge edge to have. Wouldn't you like to know if your stock went up and you want to go long, it's hitting its expected move already? Would you want to still go long? No. 70% is on you. There's a good odds, right? All right. So that's that. I think I preached that enough. I'm not even selling it. It's free. But it's an edge. Right? It's an edge. Now, what other edge? Your edge could be me. Why don't you make your edge me? Right? So subscribe, set an alert to this YouTube channel. Okay. I think I provide a good service here. Give a lot of information out about what's moving markets. Okay? What's moving markets? I'll give you the overall story. The news, the laters, the laggards, the blah, 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 blah. Bunch of technical analysis. I'm giving you a free indicator that gives you an edge. Okay? Now, hopefully you listen to me every morning. Like my friend Rosa, she will say, you're my podcast in the morning. I don't even need to do anything. I just listen to you. I get all the news I want. I get everything that's going on in the markets. You take it a step higher, you join my Discord. I give live commentary, audio messages, live commentary of what I'm seeing. I'm literally in there with a group of people and literally saying, this is going on right now. This is what should happen right now. And it really is never wrong. Okay? It's really never wrong. Now, I think we're ready. All right? I think I could be a salesman of my indicator. What do you think? But it's free. So, let's get into futures. All right? Let's get into futures. It's a little muted out there a little bit. You got Jackson Hole. Okay? Now, if you're wondering about that meta position, I was talking to Rosita yesterday in the afternoon. And the trade is doing what it's supposed to do. However, I said, you know what? There is Jackson Hole starting at 8 p.m. I'm like, there is a risk to the trade. I said, I'm in profit right now. I'm like, do I wait? Because once I wait, and something crazy could happen overnight. Now, we did dip down last night. Okay? I said, you know what? Let me take it off. Let me take it off because of this speech. I don't have control over it. So I had a little profit. Now, today, we can go back. If you're in my live, I will track the trade if it does what I expect it to do, which it might be do nothing, right? So, and also explain to Rosa the math. You don't have to understand it. No one's going to really understand a broken wing butterfly the first time. You're just not going to get it. I don't expect you to in its advanced trade, okay? And it's for credit. People don't even understand that. So, all good, okay? But if you have questions about it, ask me, okay? Now let's look at the markets. Russell's up 0.53. Dow's up 0.34. ES up 0.26. Nasdaq up 0.22. Ethereum up 0.21. 30-year bonds being bought up 0.19. Crude up 0.16. The dollar's flat. Bitcoin's flat. 10-year yield is down 0.30. 4.3 yield. Gold's down 0.41. Silver's down 0.67. The VIX is down 1.39%. All right, moving on to the Mag 7 Plus here. Now, Google and Meta came into some deal. Okay, now Google, if you look at Google, that stock has been relatively strong. It's not really dipping that much. Okay, up 1.60%. Broadcom up 0.79. And the expected moves, I put everything on there, but wow, when you go through the list, okay, Amazon hit its expected move. Microsoft hit its expected move to the downside. These are all downside expected moves. Meta has hit the downside expected move. Nvidia has hit the expected move. AMD has hit the expected move to the downside. Broadcom has hit the expected move to the downside. Berkshire Hathaway's hit its expected move to the upside. Okay. Now, if I say all that, and the QQQ also, and SPX almost did too, unless Jerome Powell says something nuts, we've saw the lows for this week. Okay. Now, moving on. Let's just look at the laggard, Nvidia. Now, AMD and Nvidia are the laggards today. There's some chip news. Jensen Huang's talking, discontinuing, I believe, the H20 chip. To China, something about that. We'll get into it in a little bit, but that's the little weakness there. Okay, top sectors, we got United Healthcare is up 1.24%, and the laggards Uber. If we go to granular list, let's look at the more granular list. Who's leading here? Zoom up 4.26%. Ross stores up 3.08%. Alibaba up 2.3%. That's nothing really major there. The laggards. Intuit down 6.13%. Workday down 4.42%. Lucid down 2.39%. So Lucid did a reverse split, I believe. Yeah, Lucid did a reverse split, 10-to-1 reverse split, I believe. It stocks $2 a share now. All right, moving on. Sectors. All right. Leader. Discretionary. Discretionary. That's your Amazon, your Tesla, your Home Depot. Okay. Yeah, let's see here. Financials up 0.36. Healthcare up 0.36. Energy up 0.28. Everything's up. There's no laggard. Semis and tech is flat. Okay. Semis and tech are flat. Now we're going to move on to economic calendar. Of course, we got the big boy talking at 10 a.m. Jerome Powell at Jackson Hole at 10 a.m. Right there, Fed Chair Powell, 10 a.m. Everybody's going to be listening. Everybody's going to be watching. Probably from 9:30, you'll get some games when the market opens. Not sure if there's probably going to be any equality as far as that. And then 10 a.m., everyone's going to be just listening to his speech. I'm hoping this speech is not very long. There's no conference after it. It's just one speech. Hopefully, it's not very long because I'd like to get a trade in. And like I said, Hammock speaks at 11 and Trump makes some announcement at 12. You don't want to go into one on Friday after 1 o'clock too often. All right. Now, let's look at some news. Well, first let's look at the juice. Like I said, Fed Collins speaks at 9. 10 a.m.'s Fed Powell keynote speech. 11:30 Fed Hammock. 11:30. Oh, Fed Hammock speaks on CNBC. 12 p.m. Trump makes an announcement. I don't know what that is, right? Let's look at here what stocks are doing this morning. Let's see if here we go. All right. Nvidia stock fell 1.1 following a report that the chip designer has asked some component suppliers to halt production of its China-specific H20 artificial intelligence chip. That's what I was talking about before. That's why Nvidia is down. Meta Platforms stock rose 0.2 after the tech giant signed a $10 billion deal with Alphabet. Google up 1.1, which will see the Facebook owner use Google Cloud servers. There you go. Use Google Cloud server storage and other services over the next 6 years. That's big for Google. Okay. Workday stock fell 5.2 after the human resources software company left its subscription revenue guidance unchanged. BJ's stock rose 0.2 after Wholesale Club offered to raise its full year earnings guidance. Intuit, just showed you guys that. Stock fell 6.3 after the software company forecast first quarter revenue grew below expectations. Zoom stock rose 5.1 after the communications company presented strong second quarter results. Nike stock rose 0.3 after ahead of the launch of a new trail running shoe on Monday, pushing into the booming outdoor recreation market. Gap stock fell 2.2 after Barclays downgraded its stance. All right, that's some stock news. Now, if we look at some more news, let's see. NVIDIA, like I said, NVIDIA CEO in Taipei to visit TMC says in talks with U.S. over new China chip. Jensen Huang really gave TSMC a lot of credit recently, I saw. Let's see. Starbucks expects non-binding bids for China business within 2 weeks. Boeing defense workers hold out for a better deal. Let's see here. Now check this out. In Asia, Japanese stocks gained, boosted by rising bond yields that supported financials and weaker yen that benefited automakers. Chinese stocks jumped to a new 10-year high, with the Shanghai index topping 3,800 on renewed AI optimism. Interesting. Okay. There's a whole thing about Cracker Barrel's new CEO revising the logo. It's getting a hit from that because he took the old man off the cover and just changed it to Cracker Barrel, which is not a good look. What else is going on here? Ulta Beauty. Let's see. JP Morgan raises target price to 600 from 525. I don't know why I got so loud there. Ross Stores. JP Morgan raises target price to 160 from 156. All right. That is your news, the calendar, what we have to be paying attention to. This Friday is probably going to be a pain in the butt. I'm hoping, like I said, Powell's done, and then we can move on. All right. All right. Well, let's look at those internals that I talked about yesterday. Right. Real quick review of them, because they show yesterday was just not weak or strong. It's really what they show. Right. It's my bread and butter. It's my bread and butter. All right. So yesterday, everything when it's light pink is slightly weak. Okay, slightly. All right. Communications was and energy was up. Now internals. The major part of this weighted AD indicator is the bars. Bars are what move our market. The white line is equal weight, as if nothing was weighted. Okay, but obviously our market is weighted. Look at what happened. Rise, rise, then it was down. But these are not down big. This is very benign. Okay, that was the dip. And then look what happened. And then we stalled, just like I said, right? So there was nothing. And I was in my channel live saying, it's all about selling the highs and buying the lows today. I'm set to sell the highs, but my order didn't get filled. I took 2 trades at the lows, a loss and a break even, and then that was the real opportunity, was down here. When I spotted that buyer in Bookmap, and then we all know what happened. We launched up, went right to the mean, revert right to the mean, and then we just were stuck. Okay? That's your market internals. Now, let's move on to daily charts. We got daily charts here. Okay? And we'll get into the hourly charts in a second. All right, remember the expected moves are on my calendar. Now 631.54 is the expected move to the downside for this week, which happens to be for today. Okay, we still have not hit that expected move to the downside in the SPY. Okay, now the important level that has been the level this week. Okay, I was talking to Rosita yesterday about this. This is last week's low, 634.66. The market keeps holding last week's range. Last week's range keeps running into this 20-day simple moving average as well. Okay, so where's the market now? 637. 637. We are right here. We're in the upper third of yesterday's session. Okay. Now, look at futures. You'll see the dip we had this morning. Okay. Notice in futures, last week's lows, we're holding inside of last week's range. You got a lot of wicks of support down here. Aware around the 63.70s is what I said. It's a key level. Okay. And that's also playing around with this 20-day simple moving average. Right? Let's move on to the Qs. Here's our Qs, definitely in a downtrend, right? What is the Qs battling? The expected move to the downside, which I showed you on my mobile, my phone. All right, 564.18 is the expected move to the downside. Where are we now? We're right above that. We're right here at 564.40. We're right above the expected move for the week. Okay, 70% of the time you close within the range. Okay, you can see the indicator that I give out for free gives you the range up here. Gives you the range for the week. Okay, that's what's going on in the Qs. Right now, the difference is the Qs have been relatively weaker. We all know that tech has sold off. We are below last week's range by a lot. Now, where did support come in? Well, a prior weekly low. See that wick? Went right to a prior weekly low. You can see it right here. Okay? Nothing's a shocker, all right? So let's look at the NASDAQ futures. The futures, okay, has hit the 50-day moving average. And you can see the support. The level to look at is the 230s. Okay, 230 to 2350, 60s about. That is showing you support. Now look to the left. You see this congestion here? That's why the market's getting held there. People are buying and buying. The sellers have tried once, twice, 3 times. Wick, wick, wick. Now, this could be taken out. It would be much more easy to take it out if you had the bodies down here. Right? If you had bodies down here, like the candle bodies were down here, then I'd be like, oh boy, this could really break. Now, can it still break? Of course. But this just shows significant buying and profit taking at those levels. Okay, underneath the 20 simple moving average, underneath the 90 MA daily, but you did hit the 50-day moving average. All right. Now I'm going to skip over that triple-headed monster. It's just really not doing anything. Okay. We're going to move over to the hourlies. All right. Hourlies, we'll get right into it. There's not a lot to talk about, but you have to talk about the levels. We have to talk about the levels. Okay. So this is a 1 hour chart. Let's get into the 1 hour chart analysis. Okay. So, trusty marker. Let's do it. Okay. So, look at those wicks that I just talked about. Where are they around? 63.70. Remember, the dark shaded area is real-time trading hours. That was the low. I talked about it in my pre-market, okay, yesterday. I said this is probably the range we're going to go in between. And that's what's happening. Now, most trader price of the week has moved down to 63.88. That is a little more bearish. Okay, remember, this is the big boy. Let's call it the 64.13s. Remember, that market tried to go. That was the other level that I talked about. That's a supply zone. That's why I was getting ready to short. I just didn't get filled. Okay? Now, that's our playground until it's not. Remember, above this, macro bull. Below it, macro bear. Remember, August is seasonality weak. September, seasonally weak. So, I just talked about the expected move for this week, right? Well, there's going to be new ranges for next week. So if you have the most trader price of the week moving lower, that brought value lower. That's structurally bearish. So today might be this range. Now again, I don't know what Powell's going to say, but next week could look to break that 63.70s. Okay, 63.70s. I don't know, but remember, new range was what got put in after the weekend, and they will be lower. Who knows? But this is our playground. 64.13s to the upside, 63.70s to the downside. Most traded price of the week, 63.88, has moved lower. That's a confirmation of bearish structure. Okay. Now, when I say that, doesn't mean we sell off today. It just means that there's a feather in the cap for the bears. Moving on to the NASDAQ. We have a similar story. All right, let's get right into it. The NASDAQ futures, 232s, have become the new most traded price of the week. Your 235s are still the most traded price of the month. That is your area. Now, the difference here is this demand zone is literally, when it dips down in there, it gets bought. There's a high volume node down here to 230s. We could make our way there, but we haven't yet. Okay? But we haven't yet. So, same thing. Most traded price of the week has moved to 232s, confirming bearish structure. Confirming it. Markets bought off this demand. There's a lot of overhead supply. Okay? Like I said, I think the move has been put in for this week. This just looks bearish to me. Okay? So we have to see. So very easy in the NASDAQ. It's your 235s, your 232s, and your 230s. All right? If we come up to here, all this supply, month to date anchor VWAP here, that could be the range. Maybe we come up there, get a bull trap, and then we just take down, right? Doesn't need to happen like that. Or today, maybe we go under here and we take out these lows and hit the 230s. I don't think we're going to go much lower than that. And then I think we probably would bounce. I don't know, right? I never predict. That's a fool's errand to predict, because nobody knows. Anybody tells you they know, they don't. Okay? Mine is based on scenarios. It's not based on what I think is going to happen. Okay? Now, we're going to move on to the volume profile, market profile analysis, and where I give you the long and short trade scenarios. Okay? Like I said, today, not in love with today. Market opens and Powell talks at 10 a.m. Ugh, that's just not fun. I don't like people playing around when I'm trying to read the market, because you don't know what's going to happen. And then if I see a setup and I'm like, boy, great, here's my setup, but Powell's talking in 5 minutes, so now I can't trade. It's just annoying. Okay, it's really annoying. Let's look at the market profile, volume profile of the ES. Okay, of the ES, and this is our market profile and volume profile analysis. Okay, so let's look at this together. Okay, clearly I just showed you 63.70, so we know the 63.70s to about the 63.60s is an area that's been getting bought. Okay, you can see the overnight lows took out yesterday's lows and couldn't find acceptance below the 63.70s. It's not ready to go lower. Okay, we know 63.88s now are the most traded price of the week. This looking like, to me, it's going to be the mean for today. The 63.88s is the reversion to the mean. Okay, we are inside yesterday's range. You're inside yesterday's range. The profile has a bullish imbalance to it in the overnights. You can see you got thin volume and then you got a bullish imbalance to it. Looks like it wants to go up to the 66.13s. Okay. You got poor structure in the overnight highs. You got a poor high. Okay. All that means, hold on, let me get these zones back. Okay, you have a poor high. That's just a double top, I'm sorry, in the 30-minute session. So if I break this out for you guys, that's poor structure. This will probably get broken to the upside. Now, what I do like, prior to 10 a.m., okay, this is something I do like. This poor structure here, okay, when you get a poor high, okay, that's a double top in 30-minute bars. This means that longs got stuck at poor trade location. And what happens initially is a pullback, see? And then generally, you break that poor high and you make a tail up. And guess where your tail is going to be? Into the level that I probably want to short the market. Okay? So, I liken that. So, I do like that part. Okay? I do like that a lot. Okay? Now, we're still inside yesterday's range. Yesterday was inside the prior day's range. So, we're starting to build out a balance area. Okay? Now, this one session, 64.30s all the way down to the 63.62s, has held the market in check. We're not been able to break out of those levels, okay? So we're coiling. We're coiling right now. We're going to put a move in. Now, this is what I'm saying. The next move could be a big one into September to the downside. To the downside. Just because of the structure right now. I could change my mind. Remember, we take out 6413, the structure changes. Okay? So here's our other level that held the market yesterday. We have this level here. Most traded price of the month. Okay? 64 14s, 13s. If you hear me say it, I'm just going to keep saying it. Okay? Those two boxes have been our range. That's it. And our reversion to the mean has been 63.88. All right, so let me paint a picture for you. What I think most likely will happen. I think, right? Well, forget about that. We'll get right into scenarios because this is all you got to look at for the levels. Hopefully, you're taking this down. Golden nuggets here. It's all about golden nuggets. Let's get into scenarios. Okay. Now, hoping this comes to fruition for me. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to look at is shorts. We're in a bearish structure, right? We're lifting off the 6370s, which has been the bottom of the range for the last couple of sessions. We know 6413s is a big level. That is the bull bear line for the S&P 500. Okay, the S&P 500. So we got poor structure. I want this market to clean that poor structure and to go up and test yesterday's highs in this monster level. Now you have to think of the story. This is important. If you get that jump up there, okay, now if you're long in overnights down here, or you were long from yesterday's lows, and you come up to the prior day's highs into this monster level, you're going to take profits. Okay, and what else is going to happen? What else? You got to make sure you understand this part. You're going to probably want to de-risk before Powell. You don't want to hold the bag through 10 a.m. So I think if you get the initial burst up into here, I'm going to look for a tail. I'm going to look for a rejection and possible retest. I hope this happens when close to the market opens, maybe the first 10 minutes. And I'm going to look to get short. And I'm going to look to revert back to 63.88 because the market loves to go back home, get into bed, get into those warm blankets and covers for Powell. That is the mean. That's the reversion to the mean. Okay? So here you get far away from home. You get lost, you're scared, it's dark, it's raining, you're cold, and then you want to go back to comfort. And that's generally always happens. When a market has something coming, it will go back home. It will go back to a VPOC. So hopefully that's a story, and that's a scenario, and that's technical analysis. Okay? That is very likely to happen. Now, it could happen fast, and I don't have a setup. Okay? That is a number one setup. Can you get gravy here and you break this? Maybe. Possibly. But that's all I'm looking at. Okay? That's all. That's a golden setup. Now, longs, being honest with you, I don't know right here because of Powell. But I'm going to go over a scenario that could happen. Okay, this is probably more or less after Powell. Now, one scenario could be if you pull back to the mean, possibly can break that poor structure as well if we don't break it. Okay, this is very unlikely. But if we did push above that monster and revert it, this could happen. I doubt it. This is what I would think would happen. If we did break that level, I think, again, we're going to go back and balance here. Wait for Powell. Because that's also the most traded price of the month. That's actually the bigger home, okay? But the more recent home is the 6388s. That's it, folks. Okay? Now, later in the session, if we were happen to knock on this door again and the market's not that weak, we're going to go back to the mean. All right? That's your ES. That's your ES. Let's go to the NASDAQ. Let's go to that NASDAQ. Okay? Let's open this up. We already know the levels. We already know the levels. Okay? Talked about it in the hourly chart. Let's go right to it. We know 235s, most traded price of the rolling month. We know 232s is the most traded price of this week in the reversion to the mean right now. We know the 2-3, around the 2-3, what is this about? 236, we'll even make it down to the 230s. This is the levels in the NASDAQ. Very simple. Very simple. Okay? Very simple. You got the bullish and balanced profile. You don't have a poor high up here. You do have a little tail, so it's not like the ES. It's not like the ES. Okay? I don't like this setup as much as I like the ES. Straight up. This structure is not as good as the ES is. Right? You can see we're at the most traded price of the overnight right now. Okay? I don't like this as much. So, what do I see here? I really don't like it as much. Okay? So, we are going to, now, we're above the mean. That doesn't mean much as much anymore because that's like the middle of a seesaw. Okay? So, if we're going to look at it, let's break it out because we don't have the poor structure like we do in the ES. Okay? Double bottom here, right? Bullish imbalance. So what I'm going to go for actually here is because of it's a little bit of a poor structure, but not that much, right? The same thing could happen. I just like the structure better than ES. Okay? So let's go with the short. And like I said, I like the ES better. What could happen here? Well, a couple things. You can push up, break those overnight highs. You're still in supply. You're still in supply. And maybe tap yesterday's highs. And then we revert to the mean. Okay? I don't like it as much. I don't have that wall above me like I do in the ES. Okay? That wall is not there. Okay? And you could also, I'm going to suspect longs at this overnight trade, the most traded price of the overnight. That's where we're at right now. If you lose that, like we could right now, you're going to take some longs out. So if you do this, to retest, we could possibly do this. Test the overnight lows. Go into that demand again, and what would I think would happen? We pop up for Powell. That's another possibility. All right, that's another possibility. Now, if I'm going to show you longs, I don't like the NASDAQ as much as I do the ES. I've said that, but I'm just repeating it. What could we do with a long here? Well, we could pull back to that mean and also break that structure of the overnight highs. Try to attempt to go up to yesterday's highs. And then what I think happens is we come back. That's one. Okay. The other one is a little bit inverse as before. If we do come through here, retest it, we can really quickly take out these overnight lows. And I think because you're in this demand, I think we're going to rip back. That could be, now again, this market can't be that weak, but remember, that's more of a de-risk. Because you always got to think of the story. I don't want to hold the bag short if Powell's talking at 10. You just don't want to do it. Nobody knows what the market's going to do with what he says. Okay? That's it, folks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. All right? If you did, please, as always, smash that like button. Smash the like button. That helps me out. All right, smash that like button. All right, now, of course, do you want to hear this stuff every morning? Of course you do. So subscribe, set an alert, join my live stream, my YouTube. Okay, I give you the market story. I give you the economic calendar, the market news, the technical analysis. I just gave you long and short trade scenarios. It's a one-stop shop. It's a one-stop shop. Okay? And that's just broad-based. You want to dive in? You want to dive in? You want to dive in? You go to join my Discord. All right? That's Confluence Trading. You go to that YouTube homepage. You click on that link. You sign up. You sign up. Go ahead and get yourself that free indicator, the weekly expected move. I think it's gold. And I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be giving it away for free. I'm not saying it's going to be very, very expensive, but I'm saying right now it's just free. Put it on your charts. Okay? Let me be your indicator. Let me be your AI. AI ain't doing what I'm doing. Okay? Let me be your indicator. I will not steer you wrong. I am watching what's under the hood of the markets. Doing it a while. So it's not like, oh, I've never seen this before. And I will give you snapshots, okay? Every 15 minutes, possibly, I might be like, ooh, this is starting to change. Let's see. I'm never going to tell you that definitively something. Okay? Now, I will if I'm like, okay, the low is probably put in. And unless I always say catalyst comes out, Trump says something, whatever. But sign up. You got nothing to lose. Get a free indicator. And then you have me. Join me live. Listen to me. Listen to me live. Ask me a question. I'm going to probably know the answer. Right? All right? So everybody, what I want to say, have a great weekend. Okay? Now next week, I'm only going to be here for a couple days and then I go on vacation. All right? I go on vacation. And then we have the next week you have a 3-day weekend because of Labor Day. So I won't see you guys to the following Tuesday. Okay? Hope everybody has a great holiday there, but I'll see you guys next week for Monday and Tuesday. All right, now today we have a plan. That short in the ES is, oh my God, is that looking? That is looking very, 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 very scrumptious, and I'm gonna hope I can be able to do that at least by 9:40, 9:45, so I can just get in there, get out before Powell. Okay. Remember, Trump's at 12. Everybody have a great day. If I don't see you in my Discord, you guys will see me next Monday morning. But I hope to see you on my Discord. All right, everybody have a great day.